Take a quick look at this plan I've drawn up for a map of Split. This is a pretty decent setup by the looks of it. If you were to guess what game it is, you probably might be able to conclude what it is. But let's take a quick look at utility usage on this defensive side. So right off the bat, a very early fault line being drawn out by the breach in the back of screens to give what is, I presume, the Raze, who is going to blast back in to get really early A main control and possibly get a couple of frags. Then you've got the Jet in heaven watching for any rotations through mid. As you notice that this defensive side has a clear lack of mid control. There's a single smoke drop, and that's from the attacking side, and there's a nanoswarm and an alarm bot posted up in the B mailroom. So with little focus towards mid, they've got fail safes already for both the sides. But let's take a look at this B site. An auto turret really early to get a lot of information if anyone was to walk through a smoke, which is dropped by the Omen on the back side. Now it's a pretty peculiar setup because while this defensive side go for a main push, they are playing extremely passive on this B site, and I'd say for good reason. In the back, a paranoia available as well for this Omen, so that both this Killjoy and the Omen can swing together in tandem, and a turret that'll get a lot of early info alongside a nanoswarm that'll do damage as the players continue to walk on out. So just based on this setup alone, I would say this is a really strong setup posted up by the defense. Early A main control to get a lot of early information, a lot of fail safes on this B site in case of a very fast play from this attacking team. So this is a plan that I drew up, and it's actually a pretty solid one, I'd say. So this is a strategy that maybe a lot of teams could use, a really strong setup overall on the defense. Now, we'll take a quick look at another setup thrown up by the defense that I'll draw up. How about this execution, or should I say site take? And by the looks of it, it looks like a pretty well thought out take. You've got a Jet down towards mid who clearly has a lot of control after getting two apparent picks in elevator, basically taking all of mid for themselves. And then you've got a really good rolling thunder that'll help clear out heaven to allow this Jet to get into heaven and create a really good setup. Alongside that, I don't know if you can really see it, but we do indeed have a smoke in heaven to prevent anyone from peeking out in. So they've isolated this attacking team. A single Jet on this site with an Omen already pushed out forward, gathering a lot of space in reconnaissance, and a Killjoy not too far behind with a turret watching their flank, and a breach who is in mid rotation for the defense. But just by the looks of it, this is already a super solid, well thought out round with obviously very little time left on the clock. It's probably going to be about 40 to 42 seconds. Obviously, they've definitely done their research. They've lurked over in the A site, gotten a lot of info, because if they didn't lurk on the A site, there would clearly be more players present on B. But because they have this mid control, it's a very easy site take and a really well thought out one. Now, how this Jet got those kills, I've got no idea. I'm just going to presume that there might have been a couple of breach flashes, a fault line possibly to gain that control, or even a paranoia to storm into that site. Now, I've shown you two, I would say, really solid split attacking and defending sides, one of each. And you may be wondering, Sully, you're not that smart. You're just a 16-year-old caster. You've got no idea what you're talking about. Well, you're right. This isn't my strategy whatsoever. This is actually a Cloud9 take if you take a look at this real quick. This is a round that Cloud9 did extremely, extremely well. Now, here is the actual game itself. Like I mentioned, there's about 40 to 43 seconds. Yeah, we rounded about. But you can already see the exact same layout that I showed you guys just a couple of seconds ago. And this is a Cloud9 game versus Equinox. This happened just this past weekend over on the Nerd Street Gamers Winter Championships 2021. Absolutely banger of an event, by the way. But one thing I noticed, and one super cool statistic, is that this new Cloud9 with Sonny in replacement of tens, they didn't drop a single map of split, and there was actually only one team that accumulated more than double digits, and the only team to get double digits, another really strong split team, and box. So that's why I kind of want to dive deeper into the methodology, or technically I guess the tactics, I would say, of a team like Cloud9 and how good they've been on a map like split with such little time as a team together. So just to rewind, sorry, let me turn this down a little bit. Just to rewind a little bit and to show kind of a little bit of context as to what's been going on in this round and how we got to that actual really good B-side execution. I think it's really important that we see what Cloud9 did leading up to the round. And already off the bat, you saw a very early fault line from Sonny to get early B main control. I think a Nanostorm dropped in as well, possibly. Yep, there's a Nanostorm to force Mina away. So what Cloud9 have done really early on is they've prioritized this B main control, and they're going to really early on put a lot of pressure to B main. And this isn't just because they want that control. This is also something that Cloud9 will do later in the game, is they want to kind of reinforce or kind of build into the mind of Equinox for the rest of this half that we are going to put a lot of pressure on these extremities. They're not going to be for free, and you're going to have to put a decent amount of utility to try and contest. Now, you can see Equinox, they do their best to try and counter back. They do drop a smoke to try and keep anyone from going through, but Cloud9, they don't really need to push into B main. They're pretty sure that that fault line and Nanostorm will keep them back for the time being, because if you are going to be Equinox, you're going to have to make a really heavy investment with flashes and bodies thrown into B main to try and retake it. So Cloud9, for the time being, that's their B main control taken already. They're not going to have to worry about that for quite some time. Now, moving forward into the round, on the opposite side of the map, you have Relics playing a really solid lurk. Now, this is another thing that Cloud9 have done very, very consistently, and I'll break down this play that just happened in front of us in a second, but one thing Cloud9 love to do is they'll just set up maybe an alarm bot right over on the A side, have Relics and Vice kind of sit there together, but this time it would be just Vice as they went heavy towards the B side. And another thing to mention is that because you have one player and you put so much faith in Relics to be that solo lurk, you can invest a lot more heavily towards mid, and that's probably one of the best things about Cloud9. They're a team that really understands the rotations on a map like Split, which is a very hard thing to do. And for a team of this level, and a team I would say that is relatively new as a core 5, it's pretty impressive how well they understand the map rotations and how well they put an emphasis, and the amount of emphasis they put on a map control such as mid. As you can see here, the play before us, the idea here for Equinox was they're going to try and swing off of this flash thrown by the breach right here. That ends up popping right there. Leaf gets the timing absolutely perfectly to shut down Texas swing. And now after that single kill, look how quick C9 are to take this mid control. Mitch instantly dashing in from the bottom of mid here straight into elevator to maintain this control. Now, we got to kind of break down and maybe understand a little bit more about what this means for the likes of Cloud9. When you have elevator control, you control such a huge part of rotations. So just for example, if I'm playing on the A site, perhaps maybe heaven or even the middle of site, look at the difference in the length, or I guess the time it would take someone to rotate to go through heaven, through the elevator, out through mid, into B heaven. Whereas if you had to travel all the way through spawn, I'm no mathematician and we don't really need to do any calculations, but you can really see the difference in those lengths. Going from A site through mid into the B heavens is a lot quicker. So Mitch does a really good job of getting in here really early, prepared to cut off any rotations to perhaps a retake of mid. And while all of this is going on, Sonny and Vice have decided to slowly but surely aggress into B main to assert their confidence. At this point in time, with that early picking towards mid and Mitch already in elevator containing all these rotations, Cloud9, everything is set up already for a B side execution. Now it's all a matter of time and perhaps finding another really valuable pick, which Mitch actually ends up getting here. He finds a really, really big frag onto the Cypher that plays just beneath. And I don't think without this, I even think without this frag, they probably could have done a really good job. Now, another thing to note that we just saw go past our screen is this boom bot. So what this boom bot does and what it tells Mitch is that there's currently nobody in this vicinity. And if the boom bot were to go even further, he would know that there would be presence in the back of A heaven. So that's why Mitch is pre-aiming this position, because he is prepared for someone to be in elevator because of this thankful Boomba that Relics ended up throwing. And that, again, kind of goes back to the value of having a really good solid arrays lurk on that A side. So Mitch prepared for this angle, ready to watch it in case someone were to peek up. And like I mentioned, that Boomba does end up going off. And Mitch, perfect pre-fire. That second frag now for the side of Cloud9 is like, okay, we kind of now have to commit to a site. Where do we want to go? And this is, again, a really strong understanding of rotations for the side of Cloud9. They are probably in their minds thinking that, oh, Well, we got 2 picks. Equinox is going to be thinking we might hit that A site because we threw that Boomba up really, really early on. We've got a lot of control. So their mindset, at least for the side of Equinox, is going to be, we need to make those rotations. We need to get moving along. We at least need some pressure towards the A side because we kind of left that unchecked now. And with Mitch getting those 2 big frags, or the second frag and elevator, this is a really free site for them to take. So we see an early rotation from this breach making the movement, and the timing from the side of Cloud9 is picture perfect. They know that the person in heaven is going to be that rotator. If you have a player in the back of B site, that person's going to be the anchor. Now, with that rotation being made, they've now left a huge gap in the heaven, and all it's going to take is a single smoke, which we saw earlier on the graphic that I showed you guys. And to take B heaven, it is super, super simple. They have it ult charged up in the form of Sonny's Rolling Thunder, which we will see used here in a second to try and take this side. And Mitch kind of just dancing around here. He understands, he hears the footsteps of that Omen being drawn away, and now he's going to retake the heaven. Mitch, very, very quick to control this heaven area so his team isn't going to have to worry about it, and they just collapse onto this side. A really, really well thought out retake, or apologies, a take from Cloud9 to assert dominance on the B site, have a really good understanding of rotations, and this is really just one example. There are so many more that I'm going to bring up as we go over this attacking side and later go to the defensive side of Cloud9, but this is just a very, very small sample size of what Cloud9 can do. All right, so hopping kind of straight back into the game, this is a couple of rounds forward. This is round number 8. We just witnessed, I think it was round number 5. So this is another really good example and just a crazy, I'd say, flash setup. And I think I spoke about in my video about Sonny, is that him being a Korean player coming from that Korean landscape, and I kind of mentioned the 2 different cultures, Breach being a really prevalent agent in the side of Korea. Sonny is an absolute master with Breach. Like, he has an insane understanding of what flashes he needs to use, and I really don't think I have seen any Breach at this level in North America. And I think Leaf made a tweet as well about how it's kind of crazy how the best Breach player in North America is Korean, and I don't disagree. I mean, Sonny has such great impact even on 200 plus ping. The dude is still an absolute nutcase with his flashes and his utility usage, which we saw very early on, a really good understanding of the game and when to use his utility, and more importantly, where to use his utility. So here's another really good look at kind of how good Sonny is. This is a really cool B main take. Obviously, we have a very basic fault line traveling from Sonny straight on in, but now look at this. I mean, this retake of B main blew me away from the get-go. So the reason why Equinox, I think, maybe decided to push is because at this point in time, Cloud9 have been doing this thing where, again, I mentioned in the last clip, they end up dropping this alarm bot, playing really passive outside towards A. So with no threat of a nanostorm and no threat of almost instantly giving up B main control, Equinox want to take it. They realize at this point in time, 7-0 down, they kind of need to be aggressive. They know they've got to take map control away from Cloud9. So that's their thought process here. A smoke drop, they avoid the fault line, and they're able to take it quickly. And in a 2vx, they're more than likely going to win that. So with this pressure shown, Equinox have full control of B main. Now, just look really carefully at how Cloud9 decide to retake B main, because it is a myriad of beautiful flashes. So there's the first flash. Goes straight through this wall, thrown from Sonny. Completely blinding cute fat boy. He's got no chance to win this fight. Look at the second flash here in just a moment. Another flash lands, if we look on the minimap, right in this little cubby, right in front of Leaf. So that'll force anyone in this B main area already taking an angle looking to re-swing. They're going to have to back away and look away because there's a flash now in their face. So that's the second flash. Now this third flash thrown by Sonny is just, it's just crazy. You see the flash go through. We'll replay it real quick for you guys. So the flash will end up going through this wall to prevent anybody from to clear out anybody here. So while the second flash ends up popping off, anybody playing this corridor has so much time to kind of readjust and retake that peak. So Sonny makes sure that Leaf has no chance of dying by sending another flash here, or I think it actually might have landed here in the back, but either way, it forces everybody in this corridor away. And with 3 flashes, Cloud9, they were able to take B main, and they were able to get 2 picks. Now, you did see a counter flash thrown, which is definitely a really effective one, but Leaf just gets the timing, and when you have such a high caliber team like Cloud9, it is super, super easy for them to get frags like that, and that's a really good thing, is now that I think Cloud9 have tactics behind them, and they've got fragging power as well, and this event really did show that Sonny has been a great addition, and I think once he gets on North American soil, this Cloud9 team is going to be extremely deadly. So here again in the last round of the first half, Cloud9 currently up 9-2. You can obviously see the dominance that they've had on their attacking side against a team like Equinox. I'd say this is, again, another really good example of Cloud9 understanding rotations, understanding map control, and kind of the influence that their earlier rounds had on Equinox. So this is a very different look as to what Cloud9 have been doing. Normally, what I just showed you is that a lot of presence towards mid, definitely a heavier focus to try and get early map control. Like I said in the last clip, is that they love to have this mid control. They understand that having mid control is key to cutting off rotations and understanding the rotation timings for the defenders. But this is a little bit different. You can clearly see there is no emphasis on towards mid, but instead of taking mid, this is kind of the first time that we've seen Cloud9 be very aggressive towards this A side. And I wouldn't even say very aggressive. They are just very adamant to get this control because of the fact that they decide, okay, we're going to leave mid. We can maybe catch them pushing down, because Equinox throughout this half have been trying to adjust with aggression of their own. Now, this is the first time they have elected to push down mid. So Cloud9, this is overall just a super solid read. And you can kind of see already what the setup is. So in the back, we have Leaf setting up a paranoia for Relics to push on through to get this ramp control. So we'll see that here in just a second. And on the other side, it's the basic setup. Fault line goes in, flashes probably as well. A little bit of a peek, I'd say, probably from Mitch as well. We don't get that POV. I think he edged out just through the smoke. Now, Cloud9, again, having a very good understanding of the map. They're going to be very wary of the fact that possibly someone could be pushing down mid. That's what Tex does here. Tex gets aggressive. Tex wants this map control. Now that he's spotted, they know that he's going to be forced to back away because of the sound cue from that blast pack. So these two players will be very quick to retake mid. The first angle that they are going to peek is elevator, because that's kind of the only unknown quantity as for now, as Relics is yet to clear out this area with a Boomba. So they'll clear out elevator first. I think then here in a moment, the Boomba will go in. Now, Relics is spotted, but Relics is just going to control this, right? So a smoke drop as well from Leaf gives them full ramp control. So when they want to go into ramp, they can. Now, again, a really good understanding of rotations here. They realize that now, because they have mid control, if anybody was on that A side, which Relics didn't spot anybody in this position, hasn't sent a Boomba in to clear this area, they have a really good understanding here, is that this person in elevator now has to juggle with the fact that there could be players in elevator. There could be players here. So they are playing this mind game extremely well, Cloud9, and having a good understanding, a good foundation of these rotations, working together, really good communication as to what's been going on. And you can see a slow push as they've adjusted. They walk through a smoke. That's not something you're going to see. They have the threat of there's someone being there, but they realize that this person mid has to watch both these angles because there's nobody else after they've already cleared out mid. So now that they've drawn that player in elevator, the two other players, Mitch and Sonny, can reaggress towards the B side. Now, understanding, again, these rotations from Cloud9, it is immaculate. Look at the adjustments that they are going to make here. Vice will hang out in heaven. Relics is going to completely clear out elevator, as his teammates did end up rotating out. And as this kill comes in, Vice getting aggressive and looking to cut off rotations, because, again, understanding rotations, it's something that I'm going to jump back and back to every single time we look at one of these clips. They understand that the side of Equinox, they're going to be drawing and running players over towards this A side. And Cloud9, they know that. So they say, okay, well, we took mid. We didn't commit to sewers. We can go back to the B site despite us having 2 picks. The reason why this works is because of how timid this player is playing. He's really waiting for someone to walk through this tripwire to make a peek. He's got no info, no line of sight. If he maybe took a more aggressive peek, I believe this is Pancakes, if I'm not mistaken. If he took maybe a little bit more of an aggressive peek and could see nobody walking through, Equinox would have so much more information. And notice now that because he's playing passive, they also have a TP, so I think maybe that's another reason why Pancake sitting on the back is going to be playing a little bit more passive. At this moment, a TP comes in from, I want to say, Cute Fat Boy. So Cute Fat Boy decides to TP, and just off of that, all Vice is thinking is, dude, I've done it. I've drawn every single rotation. They're going to be mid-rotate to B because I've gotten these 2 picks. That TP already solidifies that fact. So to sell it even further, Mitch drops a lockdown, or apologies, Vice drops a lockdown, and that just seals the deal. In their mind, this is a complete A hit. And as Bach says, They were full committed. It took way too long for DXN to realize what's going on. 2 players in heaven. If he goes down, if Leaf goes down, Relics is quick to swing into this angle. He is ready to take this fight no matter what, and he ends up taking it. So Cloud9, again, insane understanding of rotations, and this is, again, a very small sample size. If I wanted to run through this entire VOD, this video would be 2 hours long because just how great Cloud9 played the attack. Well, that just about does it for the video. I will be doing a live VOD review on stream tonight at 7 p.m. EST with my boy Upmind, hopefully, if he doesn't fall asleep. But I will be having a second episode, or I guess technically a part 2 to this Run It Back, where I will be analyzing, instead of the attacking side of Cloud9, I'm going to do the split. The defensive side. I didn't want to throw both pieces in because I feel like nobody really wants to watch like an hours long worth of me just rambling about how much I love the Cloud9 side. So I'm going to try and shorten the video for tomorrow, make that a little bit easier for everyone to digest and comprehend. So apologies for this video for being so long. Hopefully you guys got a lot of good information out of it. This was, again, a very small sample size, but you can already see just off of the 3 clips and the 3 rounds that I showed how good Cloud9's rounds can be, and how good how well they understand map rotations, and just how great they can be at this, or with this new lineup. So I'm super excited for Cloud9 in their future. Sonny has been a great addition in my eyes. He's a really good breach. And again, going back to Leaf's tweet, it's kind of crazy how the #1 breach in North America is Korean. But this has been the conclusion of episode 2 of Run It Back. Part 2 of this episode will be out tomorrow, analyzing Cloud9's defense on split against Andbox. So stay tuned for that. Of course, follow me on Twitter at SullyCast. Subscribe to here on my YouTube to stay up to date with all future analysis videos I put out. And for now, this is goodbye. Hopefully you guys will be here tonight at 7 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/SullyCast for another VOD review.